Well, dear friends, now let's continue with the chapter Enlèvement. Speaking those last words, he had begun to pet cheeks of my mother, treating her like a horse, solving it out of his torpor. And further on, his nerve hand started to fiddle almost inside her décolleté, trying to look out for matters that nobody should find there. And as she bended away her neck in her utmost chastity manner, thus tending to modify her refuse, he quitted that behavior by using the words, "Hush, hush! Why still so shy than ever? Don't worry this time. I did arrive in pure infraternal intention, even as envoy of my father, so to speak, who must apologize himself, at least for today, and hoping for your esteemed permission. As rumors may have reached out to your ears during your rural seclusion, his ailing health has forced him to transmit his office duties into my hands, at least for the time being. So, bad or good enough, you should better develop a kind of special liking for my person. By the way, an advice which I also," and he continued when raising his voice, "would like to recommend to all those surrounding attendees, as highly submissive as possible as I be, even for those who may have not yet adjusted themselves to the change of realities." For a few seconds, and by talking like that, he let his gaze defiantly move around. Some ducked away. Others pulled down their eyes towards the earth. Others again were trying to hide behind the broad backs of their neighbors, whereas they were stoned by fear and knowledge that time had come for them to be identified and being the next chosen victims very soon. And as I now realize, dear sister, or should I use the phrase beloved mother substitute, it's your beauty which has not lost any of its attractions during your exile, has even gained more shape and maturity, and I would rather like to learn how you ever will be able to eliminate inside my personal good selves those desires of unchastity which do invade my unpure feelings once more at your embellished sight, as ever as it had been. Oh yes, it's that kind of relationship which I would gladly adopt as successor of my father, who had to endeavor so hardiment in favor of your protection. Or should I am again deceived by your gifts that once more ensured so many sleepless nights to my mother and her children, not only to my father? Oh, hush again, oh, hush again. Would you please be silent now and once and for all? At least your remaining feelings that, at least you remain being that, exactly that nasty garçon as ever. You did not gain any maturity during your past, not even in stature, and you know exactly what I mean by that. If your esteemed father would listen to your inappropriate gossip, I would know how he would take judgment onto your licentiousness, as ever he did before, especially the way how frankly and willingly you lay down the humiliation of our both families in front of the whole social world. I'm quite sure he would not be pleased at this at all. So please pay attention to your pertness, Tom, my dear young friend. I might be forced to report this insulting directly to him, to your father. You should not dare to discredit a lady who has been so closely connected to your Gentils. To a lady who will continue to remain in such position for sure. You should obscure yourself on that fact. You should not obscure yourself on that fact, my dear friend. For a brief moment, that impudent guy blanched and tried to overcome his apparent vulnerability by plying an amiable face and smile. My mother, prone to confidence and thus deceived by that guy, thought time and opportunity had come to submit her petition, which brought her and me to Paris. Moreover, Monseigneur, I did not drive on my own. My son had to accompany me, and it's an urgent matter concerning him, which urges me to talk to your father as soon as possible, I beg you. Therefore, I would owe you my best and durable thankfulness if you could have the kindness to intermediate and arrange an audience at your father's house for me.
Hola, hola! There, thus the wind blows. Yes, it's correct. And now I remember. There was an additional research task, which has to be applied and fulfilled by now. There seems to me to have been news of today. Just this morning, an ugly bloodshedding occurs in our provinces. And it was a rush and escape of the perpetrators. All smoking guns have disappeared. As well, there were reports of an aristocratic lady due to present herself at the Jour Fix on Hotel Gemini. And thus my thoughts had been, maybe it might be a right thing to do, and a good idea to immediately pay a visit unto our both ancient, how was it, how you would express yourself? Yes, now I remember, our old family relations, that's what you talked about, family relations, to refresh it. Yes, I want to refresh it. Yeah, because, as you know, it's not my father whom you have to talk to in this matter. It's me who, faute mieux, you have to pay preference to my person further. Yeah, I know. I thought it proper waiting for tomorrow when making my appearance at your place, Monseigneur. As you know, I'm quite exhausted from such a long journey, so I thought to deserve a relaxation at this friendly house before presenting myself to you and obtaining your befriended custody, especially since it was my intention to be such sociable companion, which you might reserve. By no means you ought to wait for this, madame. Surely I burn and insist to ensure your company to myself already today. In yelling out those last words, both lips of that strange royal visitor suddenly had become warped by a big smile. Apparently he was over-delighted because of an incursion which had just came to him. His mark already much too fleshy, it took on to a rather crude and lascive expression.